Whoa.
Wow.
We
Oh
just got
my God.
Marcell Ozuna. He's back. The big bear. Let's go,
Wow.
Luke.
I am in shock and I'm so excited, dude. I am so excited.
This is the second time we've had to record today, and we've started both podcasts the exact same way. Wow.
I mean, I'm actually I didn't think it was gonna happen tonight.
No
I
one did.
really
I
didn't
mean,
think it was gonna happen.
how could you? I was ready to have a nice, peaceful night, and then Alex Anthopoulos was just like, "No, you're not, David. No, you're not." And I thank you, Alex. I mean, I was gonna, sleep peacefully tonight, anyways. I hope, but like, this is great. This is huge. Biggest news of
John
the
Heyman,
offseason.
John Heyman with the bomb. I saw it on Twitter. I saw like it was rumored. I saw like Marcell resigns, and it was like a guy with like 80K on Twitter. So I was like, how credible really is he? I was like, do I really believe it? And I was like, all right, I'll wait it out, see what happens. And then 5 minutes later, John Heyman tweets, Ozuna to the Braves for what you're doing. I was like, wow.
All right, so we're gonna go into depth with this. This deal is huge. We'll get into depth with it, but you just gotta wait it out. You gotta wait a bit, okay? We gotta do a real intro. So here we go. Tomahawk Talk, episode 3. Here we go. This is huge. This is huge, Luke. This is the moment we've been waiting for. I mean, we've only been doing this podcast for what is this our third day?
3. This is the third
day 3. This is our third podcast, but we weren't expecting to do this again. We literally said in episode 2 that we would likely see you all, or like the next podcast would be,
Sunday
either
or Monday
Saturday
in the next few days.
Sunday or Monday. We're probably gonna do something on Sunday. Maybe give our Super Bowl predictions or something ahead of time, or we could have waited until Monday for Luke to get his new microphone. So, but no, Alex Anthopoulos was listening to our podcast actually, and he was like, "Yeah, these kids know what they're talking about." So he calls it Marcell Ozuna. It'd be like 4 years, 65 million. Sound good? And
with a, I believe there was also a player's option in there for 15
yes, there's a player option too. So we'll get into those details, but like we're actually the reason why Marcell Ozuna is a Brave, because Alex Anthopoulos was one of our 34 listeners for the first episode. Isn't that crazy?
That is very wild.
I know. He actually just texted me and told me, like,
oh really?
Thanks, David. Thanks, Luke. Y'all are awesome. True story.
We love you too, Alex. We love you too.
Alex Anthopoulos.
Thank you for getting it done.
I met you at Chop Fest a few years ago, and now you're probably about to go on my Instagram story. So, being like, just a picture of a goat, and then Alex Anthopoulos. But no, yeah, bad jokes. But we're here. You don't have to. I mean, that's true. It's true, but you don't have to rub it in like that. Like,
sorry.
It's a little excessive there. Okay, this is insane. I was actually driving to go get some dinner earlier, and I'm driving with my buddy. We're going to go pick some dinner, and I get a text from Luke, like, "Are you seeing this stuff on Twitter?" And I wasn't able to respond. I was driving.
Yeah.
So I get to
Actually,
where I'm going, and
yeah.
then I check my phone. I'm like, oh my goodness, we did it. We did it. And I immediately made a post and ate dinner, kind of rushed back here, and here we are. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. We've been waiting for 3
all
days.
off season.
No, 3 days on this podcast. But as
We've-
podcast guys, we've been waiting for 3 days. As Braves fans,
As
we've been
fans-
waiting for months.
months. Ever since the last game. That's what I've been waiting for. Was that it's been about 3.5 months now, but we
Yeah.
finally got it done.
We got it done. So, wow. So we'll discuss it. So, what do you say? It was a 4-year deal worth $65 million. That might seem like a lot of money, but for a guy like Marcell Ozuna, as good of a hitter as he is, that's pretty darn cheap.
From what I've seen, I mean, I was expecting anywhere from the 85 to 90 mil range. From what I was hearing, 3 or 4 years, 85, 90 mil. But man,
Absolutely.
oh man.
I mean, I assume he probably had some offers, like probably above 65 million.
Oh, for sure.
But the fact that he actually signed for 65 million, that is, we're talking about like we all we want to talk about is like Ronald Acuna and Ozzy Albies and how team friendly those extensions were. This guy led the National League in 2 of the 3 Triple Crown categories last year, finished 4th in the MVP voting. And how much is that going to be per year? I think
15 mil.
Well, just 15, 16,
little over
16.25 mil.
Yeah.
That's so cheap for an MVP candidate. I mean, I know you may tell yourself, but he's such a huge liability in left field. We knew that coming into last year, and we signed him anyways. And we had no idea there was going to be a designated hitter in the National League, but there was, and it was like it was match made in heaven. Without Marcell Ozuna, I don't know. Would we have been nearly as good as
we wouldn't have been? We wouldn't have been the same team at all. And I think not even just team wise, with the year he had, but also, I mean, you see the impact he has in the clubhouse too. It like as a leader, I mean, that's huge. Him, Freddie, I mean, Nick Markakis, all those guys are huge. And to get him back on a long-term deal, not just a 1-year deal, a 4 or 5 year deal, that is the biggest thing that's happened. A biggest deal the Braves have made in quite a while. I don't think they've made a long-term deal like that since I don't even know when.
So more details on the contract. For the 4 years. I'm seeing everywhere that I'm seeing in some places at 64 million, some places at 65. So it's somewhere in that range. But as a fan, that shouldn't make any difference. You should just be happy we got Marcell Ozuna, period. But the deal also includes a 5th-year option that, according to Ken Rosenthal, could increase the guaranteed money to Ozuna at 80 million. According to The Athletic, a source told The Athletic. So that's absolutely insane. Like, this is what we've been waiting for as Braves fans. It's our last big signing, like big signing, was Charlie Morton. That was November 24th. We can finally say, that's 2.5 months about.
Yeah.
The wait is over. We just made the biggest signing of this offseason, at least, I guess you could say probably in the National League East. I mean, I guess Real Muto is also in that conversation as well.
Yeah.
James McCann doesn't even compare. Don't even get me started. I mean, and then the Lindor thing was a trade, not a signing. So,
yeah.
Ozuna, Real Muto. I mean, you know, we, one of the things that like I kept saying, because I run Braves page, Braves News 101 on Instagram, shout out, is like people have been so like concerned that all these other teams in the National League East keep getting better, and we're basically sitting ducks. And Alex Anthopoulos is likely just on his couch eating potato chips, watching football.
Yeah.
Clearly, well, I don't. He might have been for 2.5 months, but he's awake now.
He's awake. He's like, I think he said, oh, he's like got the alert Trevor Bauer. He's like, oh, let me just go re-sign Marcell Ozuna real quick.
So, what does this mean for the Braves moving forward? David O'Brien just tweeted out a few minutes ago. The signing should leave at least 10 to 12 million in the Braves budget if we decide our payroll should reach 140 million. So we're at about 128 to 130 for 2021. So we have a little bit of spending money left. That's just an approximation. That's not the exact figure. But I don't really know how accurate $140 million is for the Braves budget. I mean, that's not really something that is really accessible for the public to see. But David O'Brien notes that this should leave enough to sign a guy like Melanson, and also maybe bring back Shane Green and Adam Duvall, players like that. But if we want to go over budget a little bit, we can still go out, get Justin Turner if we really wanted to. That would make us go a little bit over budget, probably, but it's still a possibility, I guess. I don't really know how much spending money we have left over, but we got to bolster our bullpen too. So we got a little bit of money left over to do that. So what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just in shock right now. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, like I was just eating dinner and I like couldn't even eat. I was just like, I should really eat, but like at the same time, I got to get back and record this podcast. Like this is huge. So, I mean,
also John Heyman actually just tweeted out, Braves are figuring probably correctly with the Ozuna signing that there will be a DH in the NL. So, don't know exactly what that means.
It says next season. That says next season, and if not this one. So
yeah,
I think he's talking about since the collective bargaining agreement happens next offseason, it's very, very, very likely that National League will have a DH from 2022 on, and it's still up in the air that there might be a DH next year or this year in 2021 rather. But wow, this is huge. This is unbelievable. I mean, our patience paid off. Braves country, your patience has paid off. We got Ozuna back for 4 years, possibly 5. That bat behind Freeman for the next 4 years.
We've solidified the 4-hole for the foreseeable future.
Absolutely.
And there will be there's no questions like we've had the last 3-4 off seasons. Who's going to be behind Freddie? Who's the guy that's going to protect Freddie?
Nick Markakis. Nick Markakis was never a great cleanup hitter. Like he was never a great option. No. He was just the best that we had. He could definitely drive in runs. He was an RBI machine. In 2020, it was a different story. He struggled in 2020, and I think Nick Markakis, his time in Atlanta is likely done. He's a free agent right now. I really don't see him coming back, but it's still possible that Nick Markakis will be a Brave in 2021. But as a fan, as a guy who follows this team really closely, we got our outfield set. We got Acuna in right, Pache in center, maybe. And then Ozuna in left, or at DH if there's a DH. So obviously this move if there is no DH in 2021, this will kind of be a good buffer to allow Drew Waters, no relation to me. It's kind of an inside joke. I always kind of joke around that Drew Waters is my cousin or something, but he's not. You heard it here. He is not my cousin. Although that'd be really cool. Drew Waters, if you're out there.
Hey, come on the podcast, Drew.
Yes, come on the podcast. That would be huge. Thank you. Thank you for listening, first of all.
Join your fake cousin.
Yes, remember me from Shopfest, huh? I remember. We met. You greeted me at the gate. And you actually recorded a video for Braves News 101. I still appreciate that. That was so cool. And that was in 2020 too. That was like right before everything just went.
Wow.
Like it went down fast.
Down in the toilet.
I guess you could say that. Yeah. But yeah, at least something good happened in 2020, huh?
Yeah.
But Drew Waters, that gives him another year to, figure out, looking at Drew Waters' stats in the minors, he's kind of like Pache. I mean, except he's a much better hitter than Pache, but his strikeout numbers are a little high, a lot higher than I would have liked to see. Let me just go ahead and pull up his stats, just to kind of give you guys an idea. He in 2019 and 527 at bats, 39 walks and 164 strikeouts, and that's in double and triple A. And obviously if he comes up to the majors, you're going to be facing better pitching and pitchers who have access to all this analytical stuff. So he's going to be facing better pitching. So those strikeout numbers are likely going to go up. So if we can just give Drew Waters an extra year to try and get the strikeout numbers down, get the walk rate up too, I think that'd be huge.
Yeah, no doubt. I think it's good. It definitely gives him time to, get better. Him and Pache potentially, if if we have Pache down in AAA, we'll see.
And if we were to start out the season and give Ender Inciarte a chance to kind of prove himself a little bit, let him start in center field.
Yeah.
I know a lot of Braves fans probably don't want to see Ender Inciarte even in a Braves uniform anymore. That's, in my opinion, that's kind of unnecessary to, put that much stuff, like that much weight on Ender Inciarte's shoulders when he's really helped out the team the last few years. Like, if Freddie Freeman were to start like going downhill, I'm not saying he will. This is just an example. But if Freddie Freeman just, after his winning an MVP last year, if he just starts going downhill and he hits like 220 in 2021, we're just gonna be like, Freddie Freeman, call it Bryce Ball or somebody. We're not going to do that. Ender Inciarte's had a couple rough years, yes, but look at his stats before 2019. Look at the production that he had for us in 2017 and 2018, especially 2017. He was a very, very good hitter. He stole bases. Defensively, he was one of the best center fielders in baseball. So don't get me started about Ender Inciarte being a bad player.
I think if we can show any shades or sign of 2017 self, just maybe if even just hits, 270, 280, few bombs, and then plays that elite defense in center field.
Mm-hmm.
I think at the 8th spot, especially that could be maybe a mentor. You have a mentor even to Pache in the outfield.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge. I think that really
Yeah,
opens up doors for a bunch of opportunities.
yeah, and that could really go a long way if we can get Ender Inciarte to work with Christian Pache. Um, that would be huge. I mean, both of them are elite defensive center fielders. So, I think definitely the 2021 season is trending in the right direction. I think we still have a few missing pieces, especially in our bullpen. That we have several question marks, especially like in the closer role. Shane Green is also kind of up in the air. I haven't really heard any rumors on Melanson or Shane Green. But typically relievers that aren't like elite closers, like Liam Hendricks, they don't get that many. That they don't get like all these. They don't get nearly as much publicity, and there aren't many rumors swirling around them. Um, talk about Melanson and Green. So, you know, hopefully we can find out more about, who we're looking at for the bullpen. But
I do
go ahead.
believe I think right now, I think we still do need two bullpen guys. I know losing Shane right now and Mark, both as free agents, if we decide to bring them back. Also, a guy like Trevor Rosenthal is still out there. I'm not exactly sure who's still out there. We bring in Victor Arano, I believe is how you say his name.
Mm-hmm.
He was good with the Phillies. Potentially, maybe he could show signs of doing something. But you also already have, guys in the bullpen you already have are, Chris Martin, Tyler Matzik, AJ Minter, Will Smith, Josh Tomlin was brought back on a deal.
Mm-hmm.
Even Huascar Noah. I think you need to solidify that bullpen, and with our rotation and re-signing Marcell, I think we're in a great spot to make another run at it.
And another guy, Carl Edwards Jr.
Oh yes,
That was a very, very under the radar signing, and
very under the radar.
I know, like, because I post this stuff and I read the comments on my Braves page. People didn't seem that excited about Carl Edwards Jr. I got very excited. Carl Edwards Jr. to get him that cheap on a minor league deal when he can potentially be one of our best relievers. I really feel like he could be a huge missing piece in our bullpen.
Would you like so? This guy was one of the best relievers on a team that came off just winning the World Series a year prior with the Chicago Cubs. He had in 73 appearances, 2.98 ERA.
What was his FIP?
94 strikeouts. He had a 3.4 FIP in 2017. He had a 2.93 FIP in 2018. Since he's left the Cubs, he got traded. He was with the Mariners a little bit last year. He came in 5 games, 4 and 2/3 innings, gave up 1 run. So, especially working with a guy like Rick Kranitz, I think definitely that could be a very under the radar signing that could go a long way.
Yeah, it's kind of hard as like a guy who runs a Braves page to be like, to really like get the message out there, like this is actually a lot better than people think. But like, as on a podcast, I can like actually talk about it. There's only so much I can write down in a caption. So here we are.
He his career strikeout per 9 is 12.1.
That's awesome.
That is very good.
His walk, he does tend to walk a lot of batters.
He does.
But, I think, if we can work with his mechanics a little bit, he could really, really, really have a positive impact on the Braves in 2021.
I think that's exactly. Rick Kranitz, I think, is one of the best pitching coaches in the game, and I think he definitely can get Carl back to what he was in 2017, 2018 for sure.
Mm-hmm. And he was also a big part of that bullpen in the Cubs World Series run.
Yeah.
And those teams. And, obviously, I think last year he was hurt quite a bit. But in the 5 games that he did pitch with the Mariners, he did really well. 4 and 2/3, 2 hits, 1 walk, and 6 strikeouts. He did give up 1 earned run, but obviously, in nearly 5 innings, only walking 1 batter. That's a good sign that he still got it. So, I feel like if we can get that kind of production out of Carl Edwards Jr., that's huge, and he can definitely put up those kinds of numbers.
No doubt.
And also, something else that I saw about Carl Edwards Jr., this guy keeps the ball in the ballpark very, very well. This guy's given up only 15 home runs in his career, and over 180 innings. Less than 0.7 home runs per 9 innings. That is
very impressive.
That is elite.
Yeah.
You look at a guy like Will Smith last year for the Braves. That was like 3.5, something like that. I don't know the exact amount, but I'm not saying Will Smith, the pitcher, is like a bad pitcher. He's great. I really think that Will Smith could be our closer if we needed him to. He was great with the Giants in 2019. He was an all-star. Last year, his home runs per 9 was 3.9. In 2019 or 2020 rather.
Rarely nowadays do you find a ton of guys that keep the ball in the ballpark. I know maybe a guy like Mike Soroka is probably one of the best at that. I mean, you don't see too many pitchers that don't give up a lot of home runs nowadays, and I think and definitely an underrated.
In an age when everybody in Major League Baseball, every batter at least, not every batter, but most batters are trying to hit the ball as hard and as far as they can to have the ability to keep the ball in the ballpark. That is a very underrated thing that a lot of people don't really look at. It's something that I kind of ignored for the longest time. But I've really started to look at like how many home runs these guys give up, and like Carl Edwards Jr. like it really caught my eye to see his ability to keep the ball in the ballpark. That's huge. So not only we'll kind of also talk about Carl Edwards in our off-season recap podcast, which is going to take place on February 26th. And we'll also, talk a little bit more about the Marcell Ozuna signing. That is it's such a big signing for us. Like, if we can maybe get one more bat, I know that's kind of asking a lot when our main need right now is bullpen. We can finally say our biggest need is a power bat. We got our power bat. Now we need to focus on the bullpen more. But if we can go out there and get Justin Turner, or maybe trade for
I'll say it, or Chris Bryant.
Yeah, I'll say it. Like, if we could trade for Jose Ramirez, like I've never been like a big like Jose Ramirez. Like I've never been like really passionate. Like, we got to sign for Jose Ramirez. I have read so many DMs being like, we got to get Jose Ramirez. I'm just like, no, we really don't. We can get Austin Riley some time. But, if Austin Riley can, figure out that swing and, work on his plate discipline. That's his biggest downfall, is plate discipline and laying off those off-speed pitches low and away. I think he can be a very, very good third baseman. And we saw it when he came up. Was that 2018, 2019? He went on a tear when he first came up. 2019? Yeah. We saw what he could do. And
I mean,
I feel like
the guy was hitting bombs left and right in
yeah,
AAA, and then he came up and he was doing the same thing. And then there's always that patch that I feel like majority of players hit. I mean, guys like Juan Soto or those guys didn't really hit it much, but majority of players go through that slump where
the
people
sophomore slump.
start to when they start to get figured out, it gets tough on them. And I
Mm-hmm.
think, I mean, just make the adjustments. I know. I mean, I played baseball in my life. You played baseball. We know the feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think Austin's on the verge of a breakout year. I really do. I think
Mm-hmm.
he's at that point where he's matured with his swing, and I think he's gonna have a huge year.
I mean, I sure hope he has a huge year. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Austin Riley. I would love it to see Austin Riley develop into an elite third baseman. I mean, defensively, he's very undervalued with his defense. I love defensive stuff. I know a lot of people are just like love focusing on the offense, but Austin Riley's defense is very, very good. Offensively, pitchers have definitely figured him out. That his weakness is chasing the off-speed pitch low and away. He gets eaten alive by sliders and curves. Um, he hits the fastball extremely well, and pitchers know that, so they throw their off-speed pitches, and he struggles.
I think
So
it's very
if
similar. Oops, sorry. Go ahead. Finish your.
so, yeah, if he can like work with, our hitting coaches, Kevin Seitzer, I think Jose Castro is our assistant hitting coach, and Chipper Jones was hired as a hitting consultant. I feel like if he can work on his plate discipline, I think Chipper Jones is a huge guy for Austin Riley to talk with, try and keep an eye out, like be more selective with the types of pitches that he swings at. I feel like Chipper Jones is going to really, really help Austin Riley. I mean, keep in mind they're both third basemen. Chipper Jones he's a Hall of Famer at that position, knows all about being a third baseman. I feel like he and Austin Riley can work and really just bring the best out of Austin Riley. I really hope that happens.
Similar to what Dansby Swanson went through. When he first came up, he was always, slider away, and he'd always chase. And then there was something that clicked in that, I believe it was the 2019 season, where he really, I wouldn't necessarily call it a breakout year, but you could tell the improvement. He was not chasing that pitch, and he was driving stuff the other way. And that is exactly what Austin needs. And I think I've seen shades of it. You've seen it before. He's got the power. I mean, I've seen him go up out of the chop house. I've seen him go to the bullpen. He has that ability.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just a matter of knowing, and I think Chipper will definitely help with that.
Yeah, something else about that 2019 season that you brought up. We had Josh Donaldson on that team. And if you remember, I think Dansby Swanson and Josh Donaldson both got off to slow starts that year. And then Josh Donaldson all of a sudden went on tear and kept hitting bombs into the Braves bullpen in right center field.
I do remember that.
And around that same time, Dansby Swanson kept slapping bases the other way, hitting bombs in the chop house. It was happening at around the same time. So I wonder if Josh Donaldson really helped out Dansby Swanson in that regard. Because I mean, it happened at like right around the same time where they both were just mashing hits the other way, left and right. We saw Dansby Swanson really. He's the first few weeks of the 2020 season. I think for a while there he was sitting over 400, if I remember correctly, maybe in the high 300s.
Yeah,
and he really cooled off about halfway through the season. I feel like he was trying to hit bombs and pull the ball a lot more. But if Dansby Swanson wants to be successful, which why wouldn't you? He's got to hit the ball the other way, I feel like, in order to be successful. He's got to hit the ball to all fields. We saw that with Ender Inciarte in 2017. And Dansby Swanson, in 2019 when he took all those strides at getting that much better at hitting, he's just keeps getting better and better every year. And obviously, since we're talking about the left side of the infield, Austin Riley, I hope he can definitely figure it out. Maybe try to go the other way more. I feel like he could be great at it. But if Austin Riley continues to struggle, we have a couple options just in case. We have Camargo, who, in my eyes, I'm not a huge believer in Johan Camargo, if I'm being honest. I think he's a little more too flashy for the type of player he is. Not saying I don't like Johan Camargo. I'm just not like, wow, Camargo is like insanely good. And then we also, if you remember, we re-signed Pablo Sandoval as well. So, obviously Pablo Sandoval, I feel like he could work with Camargo. I'm not really sure if Pablo Sandoval is good with English. I think he probably is. I think he's been around for a while.
He's been around for a while. I think he knows English.
So I feel like, we got a lot of, third base help. Chipper Jones and Pablo Sandoval,
a lot of experience.
2 longtime third basemen. They could really, really help out some of these younger hitters. So it'll be a very interesting season. Watch these guys progress. And obviously, bringing back Marcell Ozuna. Whew, that lineup.
I mean, after seeing things like, I saw a thing on Twitter. It was like the favorites were the Braves and the White Sox, and the Rays were in there, and the Dodgers. And I mean, I'm sure teams like the White Sox that have the DH, they were probably like, let's go get this guy and bring him in and have him play and do DH. But he obviously Marcell wanted to stay in Atlanta. I mean, you could tell by that team-friendly deal that he wanted to be there. And I think Alex getting it done, especially after what happened today with the Trevor Bauer news and everything with surrounding LA. I think Alex got the job done today.
Yeah, and like the scare that Trevor Bauer gave everyone, every fan of every team besides the Mets in the National League East, we were just like, we don't want to face the Mets this year. We really don't. If Trevor Bauer went in that Mets rotation, look out. Holy cow. Mets would be the powerhouse of the NL East. And that's crazy to say, but Braves are a great team too. Like, don't get me wrong. This Braves team, we have won 3 straight division titles for nothing. Like, we have a legitimate team that can go a very long way in the playoffs and possibly World Series champions. We just got to get past the Dodgers, and that's going to be a lot tougher now with Bauer. But, maybe an injury here, injury there with the Dodgers can open up a door for the Braves to, finally get back into the World Series and win our first championship in 26 years.
I mean, we've seen it like teams like the Nationals in 2019. It takes a lot to beat the Dodgers, but it's not impossible. You just gotta
keep in mind that we were a couple innings away from advancing to the World Series this year.
We were possibly a Mike Soroka away from heading to the World Series. And I think now that we got Mike, hopefully back healthy, and if we can stay healthy with that offense and that rotation, and then you get a guy like Mark Melancon back, and then Trevor Rosenthal maybe resigns, or we get Shane Green back. I mean, I'm really excited now. I was excited before, but this really just puts it
at a whole other level.
I cannot wait. It puts it to a whole nother level. Like, I cannot wait for opening day.
Oh, opening day is going to be insane. I am so looking forward to opening day.
I'm so excited.
And then talking about the bullpen again, we're looking at, you threw out some names earlier in the podcast. We still got everybody except for Melancon and Green, and we could still potentially bring those guys back. Keep in mind we also have Tucker Davidson, who was a stud in the minors. He only made one start, didn't go according to plan, but you got to keep in mind this guy was insane in the minors. He could possibly be a long relief guy. Maybe if Drew Smiley or if someone in our rotation starts struggling, I feel like Tucker Davidson could possibly be in the rotation by the end of the year. We brought back Grant Dayton. Victor Arano it was a great pickup by Atlanta. And just like Carl Edwards Jr., Arano's like, they're both under the radar, but they're both low risk, very high reward guys. So, and then we have Martin, Matic, Minter, the M's in the bullpen. We got everyone except for Melanson. And who knows, we may be bringing him back too. We still have Luke Jackson, which is concerning. If I'm being honest, like, I think every Braves fan, Luke Jackson, I'm sorry if you're listening, but you're just not the guy for us. I mean,
I think everybody's had it up to their point where they can't. Every time you see, whether you're up big or you're down big or whatever, every time Luke Jackson comes to the game, you are biting your fingernails and you're like, oh my gosh, what are
we doing? Yeah. I mean, I was talking to my roommate, like we were watching a Braves game one time, and I was just like, we had just brought Luke Jackson into the game, and I was just like, how can anyone like be comfortable with Luke Jackson pitching? And he's a preacher's kid. He wants to be a preacher himself. He said, well, at least he prays before he pitches. and I said, this is true story. I said, well, so are all the Braves fans. We're all on the edge of our seats when he comes in the game. I mean, it gets interesting every time. I mean, we got him again. We re-signed him. It was kind of under the radar thing that happened, and I think I wrote it down somewhere. When did we get him back? It was. Let me find it.
I want to say it was early November, maybe.
It was December 2nd.
Oh.
We avoided arbitration with Grant Dayton and Luke Jackson. So we did something in December. Is it the most exciting thing in the world? Grant Dayton, I guess you could make an argument that might be the most exciting thing in the world. But Luke Jackson, I mean, there's a reason why Luke Jackson wasn't on the postseason roster for the Braves last year. Just throwing that out there. So, I mean, look, I don't, it's not like I want to see our players do bad. I'm not saying that. I do want to see Luke Jackson do well. But we've given him, how long has he been here? 3 or 4 years? He hasn't been good at all. I think it's time that we move on with Luke Jackson. I just don't see why we keep giving him shot after shot after shot. I really don't. So, but Marcell Ozuna, holy cow, we got him.
Marcell is back.
You know, if ever I get on like a rant, I'm ranting about like the Braves not doing enough, just yell Marcell Ozuna at me, and then I'll be like, oh yeah, 2021,
It's crazy
2022. Let's go.
It's crazy to think we were talking. I mean, we did a podcast 5 hours ago saying how slow the Braves offseason has been. And then sure enough, 4 hours later, we're on another podcast talking about Marcell Ozuna being back.
The fact that we're recording 2 podcasts in one day, Hey, I'm not complaining. I love doing this. This is fantastic.
This is
Luke, are you
awesome.
complaining? Luke, you said you like doing these. You love doing this.
I'm not complaining. I love this.
We're talking baseball. That's at the end of the
That's
day.
what I do. That's what we do. I mean,
What more could you want? And when you have your favorite team go out and re-sign a guy like Marcell Ozuna, man, I was locked in on my drive home or drive back to school. I like went in my dorm and like I was ready. I was ready to talk about Marcell Ozuna. So our lineup next year is literally the exact same thing as last year. So nothing new, except Pache in center. Adam Duvall. Hopefully, we might re-sign Adam Duvall. I hope we do. I don't know why we in the world we declined his option, which is only like $4 million, which is a steal for a player like Duvall. Just, I mean, I'm not questioning you, Alex Anthopoulos. I mean, I trust you again. You've regained my trust.
Could you imagine if we could bring a guy maybe like Justin Turner or somebody, put him at third, move Austin to right, and then put Ronald in center, and then maybe bring down Pache for a few months, and then have re-sign Duvall, and then maybe Pache comes up. You imagine the bench that could be.
We might have the best bench in baseball if that happens.
I mean, we would. I mean, obviously, assuming that all happens, that's very optimistic. But if that could happen, that's very, that's the goal. Will all happen.
Mm-hmm.
We will see. But
I don't think Austin Riley is that much of a right fielder. I don't think he's. Let me just double check. But I feel like if that were to happen, I think you have to put Austin Riley out there because he's got to figure his swing out.
Yeah.
He's a great player. He has a lot of potential. But if I feel like if he doesn't show signs of improvement this year, I feel like you might throw him into a trade somewhere. Like I want to keep Austin Riley.
Maybe at the deadline, or I mean, I feel like this might be the year that Alex Anthopoulos maybe makes that big deal. I mean, I don't know. He's not known for doing the big deal, but is that the year? Is this the year? Maybe. We don't know.
I mean, he did. He was with the Blue Jays. He made a bunch of blockbuster moves. He signed. He got did the Jose Reyes trade.
I believe he was also
Josh Donaldson.
Yeah, I was gonna say he was part of the bringing Josh Donaldson to the.
That was the big thing that Alex Anthopoulos did. So I think since that all didn't really work out, he's been trying to protect the farm system, and he's probably. I mean, I get it. If we just trade away all of our prospects for talent now, we're basically right where we started with a team that's loaded at the major league level, but in the minors, there's nobody. We may have had like a top prospect occasionally. Like at one point, if you guys even remember this, Jose Peraza was our top prospect. And you'd maybe like, Jose Peraza, like, isn't that the guy who was with the Reds a few years ago? That was like, he was okay. He wasn't like great. Yeah, that guy. He was our top prospect at one point in time.
And then you look back at 2013, 2014. Would you guys like to know who our number one prospect was that year? He goes by the name of Lucas Sims.
Lucas Sims.
Also
a Red.
Yeah, a Red. And then also this one, actually, Tommy La Stella, who just signed a 3-year, $19 million contract with the who was it? The Athletics? Giants? Yeah, that was it.
Yes.
And then Christian Bethencourt and then Jose Peraza. So
yeah, Bethencourt, catcher / pitcher now, which is weird.
Is he still even in the league? I don't know.
I think he's in the minors somewhere. I think he's in the Phillies organization, if I remember correctly.
As a
I could be
pitcher
wrong.
now or a catcher still?
I think
mean,
he's both, which is I don't. These two-way players are so confusing. Like, Austin, or if you look at a guy like Shohei Ohtani, that's about as straightforward as you need. Like a starting pitcher, DH. That's fine.
Yeah.
But if you're like playing a position too, you're confusing. I'm glad like the Rays have a guy, Brandon McKay,
Brandon
who I'm really
McKay.
high on. I think he was also kind of like a DH pitcher type of guy, but the Rays are just using him only as a pitcher. So
Yeah, I'm
kudos to
interested.
the Rays.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what they do there. I know he was actually a very good first baseman at Louisville,
Yes.
from what I've seen. So I assume he's probably going to be on the team next year with everything that's going on there, and who knows what Tampa's doing? They just trade away everybody and restock and somehow make it to the World Series or something. So
at the end of the day, I mean, they're the Rays. They're the smartest team in baseball. They got all the analytics.
they are. I mean, if you want to go into the analytics game, go join the Tampa Bay Rays.
They know what they're doing. I mean, it is so different.
They know something we don't.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
Kevin Cash, if you're listening, join the podcast. We want to know what's going on down there. Huh. I'm being serious. Like the Rays, like, I mean, there's not another team in baseball like the Rays. I mean, no team even comes remotely close. I mean, teams are trying to copy them and like having an opener. I mean, even the Braves had AJ Minter as an opener in what was it, Game 4, Game 5 of the NLCS.
Game 5, yeah.
And he struck out 7 in 3 innings.
Yeah, that was pretty solid, I think.
That was solid. But, I wouldn't try out new things in the playoffs. I know it worked out pretty well, but like, it's just weird. And it didn't really work out because we did lose that game. And we lost the next 2 as well. So, if you look back at the NLCS this year, Braves Dodgers, we're up 3-1. So obviously, if we had Soroka, that would be huge. But imagine if Felix Hernandez hadn't opted out, that would have helped. And Cole Hamels, what if he was healthy? There was so many what ifs in that series. Like straight up, like what could we have done different? Because I feel like we did a lot of the little things right. So,
yeah.
But the Dodgers, I feel like that team is unbelievable. It was unbelievable in 2020. And I was actually, when I was picking up some lunch for a friend who's quarantined, I was walking down with another friend, and I said, I was talking about recording a podcast earlier today, and I said, I meant to say this on air for episode 2, but I had kind of forgotten. The 2021 Dodgers, I feel like, could be possibly the greatest baseball team of all time.
They might be one of the best teams, yeah.
No, not one of the best. I think they might be the best. Like, I'm serious. Like, like 27 Yankees, they were really good, but I don't think they had that much talent at each position. You don't hear anything about the 27 Yankees rotation. Look at that. I mean, I guess there were a few guys in that rotation that were probably like really good, but like off the top of my head, I can't name any of the 27 Yankee pitchers, to be honest. I mean, I do know quite a bit of baseball history, but probably like 1950 on, probably. I can't name a 27 Yankee pitcher. 2001 Seattle Mariners were insane. Edgar Martinez, Brett Boone. Who else did they have? They had a lot of players. I mean, that's just a few of them. Ichiro was a rookie that year, won MVP and Rookie of the Year in the same year. I think they won 116 games. Dodgers this year, they could do that.
Yeah.
So, I feel like that they could be a 120 win team, and we have never seen that. So I'm glad that the Players Association didn't agree to that deal at Manfred. You know, got out there. Because 154 games you're taking away, probably. I guess this year for the Dodgers, those 8 games could probably be like, we'll just say like 6-2, adding 6 wins onto their whatever record they would have had. That could be a difference between one of the best teams of all time and the best team of all time. I think the way that team is stacked up, they could be the best team of all time. Our listeners out there, if you agree or disagree, email us. What's their Gmail? tomahawktalkofficial@gmail.com. I'm new to that. We just kind of created that probably yesterday. So do you agree, disagree? Let us know. But yeah, how about I read a few comments on the Marcell Ozuna signing? Have some fan reactions.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right.
Let's do it.
I know Luke's been a little quiet, so
Sorry.
You want to read them?
Yeah, why not?
I mean, if they have profanity, which on my page there tends to be quite a bit of profanity in my comment sections. Not for me. I try to keep it family friendly, as is this podcast, and I hope to keep it that way. Obviously,
I will read some.
Yes. Okay. How about I just give a shout out to this first guy?
I was knew you were gonna say this. Andy Poole.
Andy Poole.
Shout out.
Big shout out to you. This guy comments on every single Marcell Ozuna post. I really like this guy, and this I've every single time he hit a bomb last year, Andy was like the first comment. I really like this guy, and I pin him every time. It's awesome.
It's become an ongoing meme, and it's awesome.
It's awesome.
Andy, shout out to you.
Yes, you shout out. And he said, I really like this guy, in all caps. I responded to him. I said, I love this guy. So,
all right, I'll read off some comments.
Yes.
A lot of yeses with like a million S's on the end.
Yes.
Hallelujah, so awesome. With an option that can take it to 80 mil.
Oh, I got to pin that. I don't think I put that in the caption. Boosted Panda. You get a pin. Sorry. Boosted Panda. Shout out.
This made my day.
Me too.
Let's go.
Don't read your own comment.
I'm not. That wasn't mine. I promise.
Okay. Well, you commented that.
I know, I did. Huge shining for ATL. Personally, I think for 2021, it's Dodgers, Yanks, Braves, Padres, White Sox. I had a heart attack. God is good.
Amen. I haven't seen excited Braves fans since we advanced to the NLCS.
This is exciting to see.
This is like seeing a falling star. It is so rare to see happy Braves fans nowadays.
It is.
So, Jay Donaldson, 83. I wonder if there's any relation to Josh. Says, heck yeah. He didn't say heck, but he said heck yeah. The Dodgers will be defeated this year. That's bold. That's a very bold statement.
I like it. I love it.
Can we do it? That is yet to be. We'll see what happens. Is this the year? Obviously, Alex Anthopoulos, he knew all along, like Marcell Ozuna was going to be that guy that we had to go get in order to compete with the Dodgers, compete in the National League East with the way that Mets are stacked now. Dadgum Steve Cohen. new owner for the Mets, a billionaire businessman, diehard Mets fan, purchases the Mets and basically is willing to spend all of his money just on his franchise. So respect. If there's any billionaire Braves fans out there, just buy the team from Liberty Media, please. Liberty Media is not. We don't need to be owned by a massive corporation. We need a little edge. There's too many Atlanta Braves fans out there to disappoint all of us.
Hey
Is that
Chipper,
fair?
if you're listening, if you want to, just like go and buy the team, that would be.
And
I would be all for that.
I don't think he has that much money.
Probably not. Probably not that much
I
money.
think we're worth. I don't know if we're. I don't know how much baseball franchises are worth.
I don't know.
A couple billion, probably. I don't think Chipper has a couple $1 billion just to spend.
You don't think so?
But hey, Bill Gates, if you're listening, be a Braves fan and please purchase the Braves. Forget Liberty Media. I mean, first of all, Marcell Ozuna, like that's huge. But like, we need a little more. We need depth. I mean, we got depth in the minors, but like, are we stacked at every position? Not really. We're lacking a few things. I think we're loaded with pitching prospects. Like with this team, like there's a lot of question marks with starting pitching. What are we going to do with Bryce Wilson, Kyle Wright, Tucker Davidson? And there's a few more on the way. You got Kyle Muller.
Who
shout out
to Kyle Muller.
We're both huge fans of Kyle Muller.
I love Kyle Muller. I follow him on TikTok actually, and shout out to him. He was working on his game. Actually, hit 98 on the gun.
98,
big 9-8. So,
and I think, and he got drafted out of high school, I believe.
Yes.
Back in high school, he was a great hitter too.
Really?
The guy can hit too.
I didn't know that.
I think. Let me. It was on his Wikipedia page. Let me just pull that up real quick, because when I was planning on making an episode on stuff that we did this offseason, the plans for the offseason recap video or podcast, not video. I was doing a little bit of research because we added him to the 40-man roster and we were going to discuss that. But Muller attended Jesuit College Preparatory School of Dallas in Dallas, Texas. Shout out to that school. I don't even want to say that name. That's a mouthful. He was a pitcher and an outfielder during his senior year. Okay, get this. He set the National League, or not the National League record. He set the national record for strikeouts in a row. He struck out 24 batters in a row.
Wow.
We're talking about like, who has the most consecutive strikeouts in the majors? I actually don't know that. I should probably know that, but I think it was. I remember finding out who it was, but I can't think of it. I think it was like 10, 11. I think this guy had 24 in high school. I mean, obviously that isn't against major league hitting, but like, that's insane. I mean, I don't care who you're facing. You could be facing the worst JV team ever. Shout out to my high school career. If you followed me in high school, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't worry about it. I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but so after his senior year, he was named the Gatorade Baseball Player of the Year. So a national honor. He went 8-0 with an 0.46 ERA and 133 strikeouts. I don't know how many innings. It doesn't say that, but he hit 396 with 15 bombs and 52 RBIs.
Wow. Oh my. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, Kyle Muller, everybody.
Shout out to you. Come on the podcast. We're gonna have to DM him, see if we can get him on here eventually.
Yes.
Great guy.
Okay. Well, let's see. Anything else that we can discuss while we're still here? So, oh yeah, we're talking about the pitching prospects. So we got caught up on Cal Muller. Let me just look up the top prospects real quick. I should, as a fan of this diehard fan of this team, I should probably be able to name a few more. But you know, when the pressure's on me, meh, I don't remember them all. So, yeah, I got the big ones. I mean, of course, we got Jaciel De La Cruz as well. He's our 10th best prospect right now. Jared Schuster, shout out to him. He follows my Braves page. Super nice guy. He agreed to do a Q&A with me earlier this offseason. Go check that out if you're interested. Freddie Tarnok, who actually wanted me to keep doing Q&As. I reached out to a lot of players and I got left unread a lot. But he wanted me to do more Q&As, so I tried and it didn't really work out. But he's our 11th best prospect. It's his ETA, or is that, yeah, okay. I wasn't really sure if that was what was called for minor league players. His ETA is actually 2021. I did not know that.
Wow.
So same with De La Cruz. Same with Muller. Along with Daysbel Hernandez. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Not too familiar with him. No. Oh wait. Whoa. I am so sorry. That was not Freddie Tarnok who told me to do the Q&As. It was Victor Vodnik, who's another pitching prospect. I always get those two confused for some reason. So my bad. But yeah, we got a lot of pitching prospects. And we could definitely trade away some of these. I'm a big fan of some of these guys. I don't want to part with like too much. But, obviously, where do these guys fit in our plans? That's kind of something that, is kind of up in the air. So, definitely, I feel like we could definitely use a couple of these and maybe a guy like Yohan Camargo or Ender Inciarte and throw in Luke Jackson as well.
Yeah. Any way we can get rid of Luke Jackson is a win.
No offense, Luke Jackson, but okay, I've already gone through that. We won't go through it again. I think a lot of Braves fans will agree with me too. I don't think there aren't too many people out there who are going to disagree with me.
Mm-mm.
So, unless you're a huge Luke Jackson fan, we should probably meet up. I want to hear it. I want to hear, like, why do you like him? Let me know. But yeah, I feel like we could definitely throw in a few of these pieces to get a guy, let's say like Jose Ramirez, or maybe, go out there and get an ace. I mean, I know we have Fried, Soroka, Anderson, but get an ace with a lot of experience. We got Charlie Morton. He's not an ace anymore. I don't think. In my eyes,
I think he's
our number
a solid
3, number 4 starter.
Yeah, solid 3-4.
So if we can go out there and get a true ace, I'm not going to mention names because I'm not going to, get anyone's hopes up. Like, we're going to go get Walker Buehler. No, we're not. But, just throwing that out there. If we can, maybe put a few of these guys in a trade proposal to try and get like an ace who has a lot of experience, I feel like that could be a huge piece. And for a World Series contending team, I feel like we probably need a guy like that. I mean, no names specifically, because I don't think anyone's really out there on the market right now.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's super.
But if the time were to come where we could go out there and get somebody, I feel like that could be, since we got the power bat, that's really obviously the bullpen, and then if we can get an ace type pitcher, then I think we're set. So,
No.
but yeah, we'll talk more about this for our
next podcast.
for the off-season recap. Off-season recap podcast. That once again, that's February 26th. Mark your calendars. That's a big day. We got a special guest host for that one. So please tune in. Also, that's going to be when a lot more of you are probably going to come along and follow this podcast, because I'm going to be making that announcement a few days before that. So I feel like once I announce this podcast on that page, if you guys didn't know, or if you're just wondering, why did I set an announcement date that late? It's because I have never done a podcast before, and I didn't know how I was going to do this. I was going to give myself a little bit of time to kind of figure things out, and it was a lot easier than I had anticipated. But so that's why I'm kind of like, but I had the date set way ahead of time, and now I realize I should have probably made it sooner. But for my Twitter followers, it's going to be announced on the 14th. So I feel like once I announce this stuff, this might be the first episode that they'll listen to just hear what we have to say about Marcell Ozuna. So hopefully you guys weren't disappointed. I feel like this was a great episode just to talk about the Braves
for sure,
and the 2021 season and the years moving forward, because we're going to have Ozuna locked up for a while. That's huge. So, I think we're about ready to wrap up.
But we do have one more segment. Marcell Ozuna will be presented in a walloped edition.
Yes. Wait, how many comments do I have on my? I saw like my notification said like 83 something. I think it said 83 comments, but I clicked away from it, so I saw 83. I'm famous. I'm a celebrity here. But let's find a wallop and finish the episode on that. So any final remarks, Luke?
I'm excited. I'm excited to have Marcell back and excited to see what 2021 holds. So
absolutely. Let me find one that's like clutch. Got to have Chip Carey going in. Like he's got to be really excited.
Yes.
So this one was a absolute bomb on September 6th, 2020. And he almost cleared the bleachers in left field. And I kind of made a joke in my caption that said, Ozuna almost clears bleachers, StatCast, 370 feet. So little shout out to or there's not so much a shout out, but more like,
it was more of a jab. It was a jab.
That was actually the word I was going for, but I couldn't think of it for the life of me.
It was a jab at StatCast.
Yeah. So let's see. I don't remember how far this was, but I hope Chip Carey got very excited. I mean, he said a walloped, so he got excited. So let me get this ready for you guys to just admire the walloped. All hail the walloped. Chip Carey, if you're listening, do this for every home run in 2021. We won't complain. So until next time, I'm David Waters.
And I'm Luke Hardin.
Thank you for listening to episode 3 of Tomahawk Talk. Use my promo code Braves News on SeatGeek, $20 off any event you can possibly imagine, and parking. Use it. It helps a lot. Email us, follow us on our socials, and we will catch you in the next episode. Have a great couple days.
Swinging a high fly ball, wallop deep left. Holt will turn and admire that, baby. Long gone by Ozuna. He pulled it just a touch too much. Otherwise, that would have hit the target left. But a long home run for Marcell, his 13th of the year.